Hello everyone and welcome to Sage's Tabletop Table Talks. I'm Sage, this is my tabletop, and I'm going to talk to you about tabletop role-playing games. Sorry about the change of venue. The room I normally record in, we're doing some remodeling work in, so the next couple weeks I'm probably going to be in some weird locations. Trying to find a good spot to record. But anyway, so enough about that. I'm going to talk to you today about an interesting topic because it's one that's not just relevant to the tabletop gaming community, but also one that's relevant to kind of everything everywhere all at once. That is this idea of ownership versus subscription models. I obviously prefer physical media. I prefer physical copies. I hate so I'm coming at this kind of bias. I just straight up do not like the modern subscription model for everything we've got. For everything, like, you pay whatever $20 a month for Netflix, only for Netflix to just decide, for whatever reason, that this show you're watching or this movie you want to watch, they don't have it on anymore. I'm sorry, you didn't get to it in time. I know you paid money for it, but you don't get to have it anymore. But if I buy a physical copy of a movie or a TV show, I have it. It's mine forever and ever and ever now. Even with like cable, a lot of times you can DVR stuff and keep it for a while, but even now, it's like certain shows, it seems like that DVR'd have been taken off the DVR for whatever contract reason, but we have this idea or this kind of thing in our society. We don't own anything anymore. No one owns anything. We give money to these corporations and they drip feed us whatever they feel like drip feeding us. We get what they tell us we want, and that's the end of it. I know people have talked about this like TV, like cable subscriptions, and honestly, I'm not super fond of it either. I'd rather just own everything. I understand that is not necessarily the most viable option for people. Obviously, storage space is an issue. If you're not like me and you don't have basically a room dedicated to your books and movies, storage can be an issue, and I do understand that. Also damage, because like I said, you can look at my second edition book and see some wear and tear. You wouldn't get that from a PDF from using it. So there's advantages to digital as opposed to physical. But even more than that, you're looking at things like the subscription service. So for those of you who are a little newer to gaming, using D&D Beyond, which, Jesus Christ, what a fucking scam that is. If you're using D&D Beyond, you guys are throwing your money in the trash, for real. But in 4th edition, you had what was called Dungeons & Dragons Insider. You paid $10 a month for it. And you got access to books, to character creators, to monster manuals, to all this stuff you needed to play Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition. And you paid $10 a month for it. And you straight up, every month you paid $10, and as long as you paid your subscription, you had access to it. In 2020, yes, Jelly, no. Yes, you're cute. In 2020, they shut it down. All that money you paid to D&D Insider, all that money you paid to that subscription, gone. Trash. It's over. It's done. I hope you downloaded those PDFs if you even could. I never used D&D Insider. You can't use the character generator anymore. You can't, because especially 4th edition required a lot of tweaking and messing with elements because of the at-will encounter daily utility system they used for your character's abilities. So you would have a lot of just kind of a pile of abilities that you would have, and the character generator from Insider was honestly almost necessary, especially as the game got bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's gone now. And yeah, you can find third party stuff, but the fact of the matter is you paid, however much, $120 a year to use it. And at $120, if you paid for 5 years, we're talking $600 that you just dumped in the trash because. Ooh. Yeah. You just throw it in the trash. It's gone now. You can't use it. You don't get access to that anymore. That money you paid is gone. If I want to play second edition, if I want to play third edition, if I decide I want to play fourth edition, I have these physical books. And no matter what Wizards of the Coast does, or no matter what bullshit they try, they can never take these books from me. Wizards of the Coast, outside of hiring Pickeringtons to come to my house with a machine gun and take these books from me, which honestly at this point, yeah, it's entirely possible. I certainly wouldn't put it past them at this point. I mean, for God's sakes, and because I will never, ever, ever let them forget this, they sent mercenaries, soldiers of fortune, to a random nobody's house because he had pieces of cardboard with pictures painted on him he wasn't supposed to have yet. Yes, they sent mercenaries to some random dude's house to take some cards from him. So yeah, I wouldn't put it past Wizards of the Coast to pull shit like that. But as of right now, if I want to play 4th edition, I can play 4th edition. I can play it all I want. I wouldn't. It's not a good game. It's not very well built. But if we ever decide to get that itch, it's possible. Those of you who got all your stuff on D&D Insider, gone forever. And for D&D Beyond, like I said, if you guys are paying for D&D Beyond, you guys are getting scammed. D&D Beyond is a scam, and I wish you guys would realize this. So one of the advantages of digital is price. It's so much cheaper to build a digital PDF than it is to build a physical book. Oh, that's right. You guys don't see any of that. To buy a physical book, it's the same as buying a PDF on D&D Beyond. Now, yeah, they might have sales for certain books, but making a PDF and printing this is a far more expensive option. So those of you who are paying D&D Beyond are just lining Wizards of the Coast's pockets and seeing absolutely none of the benefit from their cheapness. That's just only one of the ways you guys are getting scammed. If you guys buy a physical book, you still have to buy that digital copy on D&D Beyond. And there are ways that they could get around that. They could wrap the book in cellophane and put a QR code on the inside. But they're not. They won't do that because why would they do that when they can force you to buy the same book 2 times? Why, have you spend $55 on a book when they can have you spend $110 on a book? I mean, obviously, this is such a benefit for them. Like, why would they choose not to? But and also, the other big thing is, with the way that modern, always online, and a lot of this copy protection stuff that requires you to always be online. You say you download a PDF on your smartphone, on your tablet, on your PC, on your laptop. With a lot of the modern stuff, if they decide to pull that, they can, next time you open it and you're on the internet, they can update your system and boom, your shit's gone. They can just take it from you whenever they want. And once again, short of Pinkertons coming to my house, which Wizards of the Coast shown they're willing to do, no matter how many updates D&D Beyond runs, I will never lose access to my book. And like I said, I am completely down with PDFs. I think that PDFs are fantastic. They can reduce costs, especially when we're not talking about Dungeons and Dragons. If we're talking about smaller production houses, PDFs allow these smaller game studios to release books, to put books out into the world at a much, much less intensive cost than physical publication. So these, game companies that release a book like Labyrinth Lord or something of that nature, they can put that game out there, and because the game that they've released no longer has to get printed, doesn't have to get shipped, it doesn't have to get put to a bookstore, doesn't have to, wherever, for 10, 15, 20 bucks, they can just set this as a download and still see profit from it, assuming that anybody knows that the games exist. That's why I am very much a advocate of find a small indie game studio and find their stuff. Even as much as I don't like PBTA, a lot of these small people are making PBTA games that might be good. Download that PDF. Store it on, if at all possible, if you can get a small, cheap laptop, keep it offline, store your important PDFs and stuff on that laptop or tablet, whatever, because there's coming a day where all these PDFs you buy, when Wizards of the Coast decide that they're done with 5th edition, 6th edition, 7th edition, they're going to take that from you. You know that's coming. I don't know why you guys think that just because you download this PDF, it's safe. It's not. It never will be. It'll never be safe. But one of the things that really terrifies me, and I'm getting into speculation now, but tell me I'm wrong. Tell me that this isn't the way things are trending. And that is the idea of loot crating Dungeons and Dragons. So let's say 7th edition comes out. They release some 7th edition books. And you buy the book. And the book, when you buy it, comes with, 4 classes. You got a Battlemaster Fighter, a Evoker Wizard, a Cleric of Light, and a Rogue, well, I don't know, what, Assassin, Thug, whatever you would consider the most traditional rogue, the more traditional rogue. Thug, Criminal, whatever it's called. So now you've got, 4. And you know what? If you release a book like that, that's like $10, $15, it won't be. It'll still be $60, $70, $80. You know it will. But if you released a book like that for $10, $15 and allowed people to just, for $1, buy a couple of classes or archetypes that are you want. So, I want a Paladin of Vengeance. For $1 I can buy the Vengeance pack, a Paladin of Vengeance, an Urban Ranger, and a, Pact of the Old One Warlock. Whatever. But I now have what I want out of the game. For $1, I don't have to buy a book that's got Warlock, 30 pages, 40 pages dedicated to a Warlock that I'll never play, because Warlocks suck. And people who play Warlocks are weirdos. But there's coming a day where they're going to loot crate this shit. What they're going to do is they're going to charge you $1, and you're going to get a random assortment of shit. Maybe you'll get a couple new weapons options. And of course, you open up this idea of power. Well, I opened up my D&D loot crate, and in it, I have a katana. But because now I have access to the katana class feature, all of a sudden now I have a bastard sword that's better than a bastard sword. And of course, if you're hypothetically looking for that Paladin of Vengeance, alright, cool. Well, I'm guaranteed 2 new class archetypes. So what do I get? I get School College of Illusions Bard and a World Tree Barbarian. All right, well, there's $1 wasted. I'm never going to play those classes. But I do have access now to a tool that my other players don't have access to. That's just better. Because once again, once they get into this loot crate mindset, tell me that's not going to be the case. Now they're going to hypothetically push players to continue to buy in order to keep up with their friends. Obviously, in a lot of game groups, I'm just going to share the katana rules, which are just going to break the game. It's going to make the game much less fun. But you're going to tell me, and you've met people, and you've played with people, especially if you go to any official tournament, like you go to a game, Gen Con or an Origins to play D&D, and it turns out that you have a piece of paper printed out that your friend gave you of this katana, of the Paladin of the Paladin of Vengeance you want to play with the katana. And then what's going to happen is the people who are in the official D&D, running the official D&D games, and now mind you, they're going to make a deal with Origins and Gen Con that you're not going to be able to play if you don't actually, you're not going to have an official table if you don't do this. They're going to pull out their phone, they're going to scan your QR code, realize that you haven't officially bought those yet, and not let you play them. And maybe they'll let you buy that stuff at hyperinflated costs. We're seeing it in video games. We're seeing it in things like, all the modern mobile games, and we've seen it somewhat in collectible card games and trading card games, and that trend's never gone away. You still buy power in those games. And if there's stuff that you particularly want, you're still paying an inflated price for them. But once again, like I said, we are running rapidly at that point where you're going to be dropping $40, $50, $60 to get one character archetype you want, to get that particular piece of equipment you want. And yeah, sure, playing at your table at home, but we're going to see official tabletops like Roll20. And I know, well, Roll20 would never do that. You're full of shit. You're full of shit. If you truly believe that Roll20 would never get to a point with Wizards of the Coast where they wouldn't start enforcing the loot crates, I have a bridge I would like to sell you, because you are really, really naive. The only thing we as players can do is stop paying for this shit. Stop paying for D&D Beyond. Stop paying for these loot crate options. Start buying physical books. If we buy PDFs, store them offline. It's the only thing we can do to fight the system that's coming. And you know it's coming. It is coming. I don't have a huge history of predictions coming true. But I'm telling you right now that unless we, the gamer base, stop it, we're going to see loot crates in Dungeons and Dragons. And once that's successful, we are going to see loot crates in Powered by the Apocalypse. We are going to see loot crates in GURPS. We are going to, probably not Palladium, because Kevin Simbeta seems to be like very, very stuck in his current business model. When he dies, who knows, maybe. But we're going to see it in these games, these major games. And as that happens, there's always going to be these outliers who are attempting ethical practices, but they're going to be just that. They're going to be outliers. The big games, Onyx Path, the big companies, Onyx Path, Wizards of the Coast, Steve Jackson Games, we are going to see the loot crate model in our games unless we do something. You're going to be dropping $1 for randomly created shit. And then what? You're going to randomly do this, drop $1, and you're gonna, and of course there's gonna be rarities. You know that full well. You're gonna end up with the fucking, I don't know, what's the shitty? You're gonna end up with the Beastmaster Ranger 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Oh, sure, maybe once you get 50 of them, you'll get $1 credit that you can spend back because that's the way the system works. But it's coming. It's happening. You're gonna see it unless we stop paying for this shit. Um, Honestly, I say, especially when it comes to Wizards of the Coast product, buy secondhand. Buy secondhand books. When 6th edition comes out, 5 is a great system. D&D 5th edition is a perfectly good system. It's a perfectly fine system. It's perfectly cromulent. When it comes out, buy used copies of those books. Do not let Wizards of the Coast, do not let their current unethical business model succeed. It's the only thing we can do as consumers. And as much as I respect a lot of the D&D YouTubers and D&D TikTokers, a lot of them are shills. They are, because they're kind of, I'm not making any money on this shit. This shit I do for free. I do it for free. I do it for fun. And I know like 5 of you, or there's only 5 people who watch this, and whatever. But I do what I do because the information, the experience, the knowledge, the passion I have for this, I want out there in the world. If one person watches it and gets something from these videos, I appreciate it. I'm not making money on these. I don't see a cent. I don't see 1 penny from any of this. If an ad ever plays on a video, I'm not seeing money on that ad. I don't see a cent. I don't have a Patreon because I don't want to lock any of you guys into a monthly payment model. Obviously, if you want to donate, I leave my Cash App and my PayPal below. You don't have to. You can watch this whole video, watch every video in my series, and don't pay me a cent, and I'm okay with that. I do this because I love the hobby. And it's why I'm able to be honest about this stuff. I don't have to worry about Wizards of the Coast or Gen Con or Roll20 or any of these, or World Anvil, any of these major giant monoliths of gaming. They don't have any power over me. I don't have to worry that they're going to cut off my ad space and all of a sudden I'm going to go broke. I have a full-time job. I'm fine. It's okay, whatever. And that's one of the reasons why me and Fox, our videos are very, a lot of the ones we put out regularly are kind of simple. They're very, because I got a couple hours a week to play with you guys, and I would rather, I would, I don't want to release one video every 4 months because I have to worry about whatever. Hire an editor. I hire an editor. I pay my bills. I'm a working class person. I do these for fun. But I am able to be honest with you guys and tell you without fear of Wizards of the Coast pulling ad, without World Anvil pulling my ad space, without Surfshark pulling ads and me losing my livelihood. I will tell you guys honestly, Wizards of the Coast is going to fuck our community. It is going to crush our community under its feet if we let it. And companies like World Anvil, like Roll20, are going to be complicit in it, because there'll come a point where Wizards of the Coast says, hey, you do things our way or we will pull funding, we will pull out. Do you think if Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons were pulled out of Origins, pulled out of Gen Con, they would be able to survive? Hasbro's going to be fine. It's going to be Origins that crumbles when they pull Magic and Dungeons and Dragons out. So they're going to do what they tell them to do. And that's just the nature of the beast. That's just the system. We as fans have to, from the ground, break the system. So stop paying for D&D Beyond. It is a scam. You're getting scammed. You're getting fucked over by. And yes, there was an outrage when they were talking about on their personal tabletop system where you would buy loot crate up things like, okay, you want a character with pink armor, well, you have to loot crate that shit up. And there was an outrage, but do you think that's going to maintain, or do you think that's just going to be what's coming in the next system? We're all just going to get used to being fucked over. It's like, after a while, you just don't feel the burns anymore. You know what I mean? You know, after a while, you've been burned so often, you just don't even feel it anymore. And at that point, they're just going to escalate to the next level. So we have to maintain our consciousness as of this community, or else we are going to see our community go the way of video games, of loot crates, because it's coming for us. We're seeing it in games, and we're seeing gamers sit complacent to it. We're seeing streaming services pulling and editing the things that we love, the movies from our childhood. They're cutting them, they're editing them, they're changing them. There's nothing we can do about it, and film goers are being complacent about it. They don't give a shit. They're gonna sit and cry about it on, Letterboxd or whatever. But are they gonna actually take the step to cancel the subscription service, to go out and find used copies of these movies, to actually cause any pain to these companies? No, they're not. And we're not either. Like, here by 2030, we're gonna see loot crates in Dungeons and Dragons. We're not gonna stop. We're gonna keep feeding the system. I just want you all to know, just more than anything, I fucking told you so. Pick up the phone, because I fucking called it. Sorry this was kind of an angry one. Hopefully next week I'll have a happier one, but this was a suggestion from Ronan, my brother, and I'm not sure that I'm talking about the way he intended, but just kind of thinking about that made me think about how we're on a path to loot crates for Dungeons and Dragons, and I do not want to see my hobby fall victim to video games and one of my other loves, which is cinema. But we're seeing it happen there and there. We don't see loot crates in cinema yet. But I'm telling you right now, there's some executives in Disney right now who are figuring out a way to loot crate Disney Plus. They are figuring out a way to do things where they charge 99 cents for you get a random TV show or a random movie. I'm telling you right now, they're trying to figure it out. They're going to figure out a way to ease people into it. Because like I said, we're frogs in a pot right now. They're just slowly turning up the heat, and it's getting a little hotter and a little hotter, and we're not even realize we're boiling alive. But that's what we are. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.